Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. You should be very afraid whenever someone asks you for money. Maybe they want to use your money for rituals. The message that was sent to me, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a woman that is currently staying here in South Africa with a husband, and the way that we have been making money, some people won't even understand, and me and my husband, we can't even understand, but we have been told by the traditional healer that my husband is going to become a millionaire this year. I don't know how it is going to happen, but we were told by the traditional healer that by the end of this year, my husband will be a millionaire because we stole his friend's spiritual gifts. So the story that my husband told me was that when he came here to South Africa, he started working in the farms. Whilst he was working there by the farms, that was when he met his best friend who is now in Europe. So when they were working there, his best friend then gave him an idea that if they could take driver's license and they could become truck drivers, maybe life was going to change. So his friend was the first one. He went to Zim and he got his driver's license, and then that was when he started working as a truck driver. So my husband, he said that he was left behind and he felt as if he had been rejected by his best friend, because at that time he would speak with his friend who was now a truck driver saying, "What's up? Can you please teach me?" As he had been taught by other truck drivers, because one cannot just become an experienced truck driver without someone teaching you the ropes. So my husband then said that he felt as if his friend no longer wanted to be friends with him, because he felt as if my husband was a failure. He was someone that was stuck in the farms, working in the farms, and he was working as a truck driver, and he started ignoring him. He would blue tick him on WhatsApp, never wanting to speak with him even for a single day. So my husband then gave up and he stopped communicating with his best friend. Fast forward, my husband then told me that he got a driver's license and then he started working, and he was just working as a local delivery driver. But they kept on being friends. But this was after my husband had started working as a driver. Maybe his friend saw that there was no need for him to blue tick him anymore, since he had gotten his own opportunities in life. They still were friends, and then my husband friend, he then migrated to Europe. When he went to Europe, he started working there as well as a truck driver, and they are still in communication. It then happened that my husband told me that his friend had lost his mother. So we then went to Zim to be there for him, to give him comfort. And when we arrived in Zim, we met him. My husband then pulled me to the side and he told me that I was supposed to do something, and whilst I would be speaking with his friend, I was not supposed to reveal it to him that I had been sent by my husband. I was supposed to act as if everything that I was doing it all by myself, and I did not want him to tell my husband later on. I then approached him when he was alone. I checked and I saw that his wife was nowhere to be seen. I then approached him and I started speaking with him, and I said brother-in-law, because I call him brother-in-law since him and my husband, they are best of the best friends. They are more like brothers. And I said, brother-in-law, there is something that you have to help us with. And he was like, what is wrong? And then I told him that even though we were suffering, my husband, as a man with his pride, he could not come out into the open that we were suffering. And he said, please tell me everything, do not be shy. And I said, please promise me that you're not going to tell my husband that I have spoken with you in this manner. And he said, no, I am not going to do that. I then told him that back at home, even the kids, they were suffering. They did not even have any food. And as for the money that we used to come to his mother's funeral. It was the last money that we had in the house. We had squeezed ourselves and we did not even have the money to return back to South Africa. He felt so sad and he said, "Why did you do that?" And I told him that we just wanted to be with him in those trying moments. So he then asked me how much I wanted, and I said anything so that we can buy the food for the kids, some groceries, and we can return back to South Africa to keep on working. And then that was when he took out $150 and he said, "With this money, I want you to go back home. And when you go back home, I want you to buy food in bulk so that when you return back to South Africa, you'll be able to work at least for a while, for a couple of months while you are working, and you know that the kids, they are sorted out because you would have bought the groceries in bulk." And I was like, "Oh yes, thank you very much." And I begged him not to inform his wife and not to inform my husband as well, because it might get me in trouble with my husband as well as it might get him in trouble with the wife as to why he would have given a woman like me money. And he was like, "Okay, it is fine. We are going to sort it out." So I then went to my husband and I spoke with my husband and I told my husband that I had done it, and my husband was very happy about it. But at that time, I did not know what was the meaning of everything. Then after the funeral, when everyone had returned back to their places, that was when I also went back home with my husband. To my surprise, we did not even use that money to buy the groceries, as my husband had told me that we were going to do. All that we did was that we just went to this other prophet. He said, "Can you please take that money?" And my husband, I noticed that he did not even want to touch the money. Under no circumstances did he ever want to touch the money. What he did was that he said, "Can you take your wrapping skirt and tie the money on your wrapping skirt?" And I did as such. We then went to the prophet. I thought that we were going to a prophet's house, but no, we then arrived at a traditional healer's house. When we arrived there, that was when I saw that it was a traditional healer's house, and there were a lot of people that were there that were waiting to be assisted by that healer. Then me and my husband, when it was time, we then went into the consulting room. My husband was seated there as well as I was seated in that room. There were a lot of people that work with that traditional healer. The healer was sitting right in front of us, and then the traditional healer asked my husband where the money was, and my husband pointed at me, and then I untied my African wrapping skirt where that money was, and I wanted to give it to my husband, but he was scared of touching that money. He did not even want to touch it. And then that was when the healer gave me an instruction to put the money onto the floor. I did as I had been instructed to do. I placed the money on the floor. Even the healer, he was afraid of touching that money. He then took his walking stick and he started dragging the money towards him. And I heard him whispering, asking other women that were there if there was someone outside who had a small child. So a child was brought in. I think the boy was about 2.5 years old. And this boy was told to touch the money and to spit on the money. And then after he had done that, we were also told to do the same. The healer also then spit on the money. After that, I was then told to take the money and to go and throw it outside as if I was throwing something that was of no value. I did as I had been instructed. I then went outside and I threw it, and I returned back into the consulting room. My husband was then told to go outside and to pick up that money, but not using his hands, but to pick the money using his feet. So he went outside and he did as he had been instructed to do, and then he returned back indoors and he gave this money to the traditional healer. So after that, that was when we were told that my husband was going to become a multimillionaire very soon. And indeed, there are things that have been happening to us, to me and my husband, that we can't even explain. It is just pure good luck that is happening to us. We then returned back to work here in South Africa. When we returned back here, we then went into town. There were things that we wanted in town. So we went to this other Chinese shop. After we had finished buying, the moment that we left that shop, we were attacked by Nyaupe boys. They were holding all kapi knives and they wanted our money. I gave them my phone. My husband gave them his phone, his wallet, and they searched my handbag and they found money. They grabbed everything. To our surprise, Brother Nanshin, as they were walking away, one of the Nyaupe boy started crying, like literally crying. He then walked back to us as he was calling his friends. And then my husband is the one who knows how to speak Zulu very well. He later told me that the Nyaupe boy told him that he had a vision and something had told him to return back the money to me and my husband, including the phones. Something spiritual had happened to those Nyaupe boys and they returned everything to us. So it was quite shocking. Even to this very day, my husband is such a lucky guy. There are things that are happening to him that one cannot even quite explain. When you post my story, please tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Yane. Have you ever given someone money? And if you have ever given anyone money, then bad things started to happen to you. You can come to my inbox and then you tell me your own side of the story as to what really happened by the time when you gave someone that you trusted money. Then after that, bad things started happening. Do you think that the person bewitched you? You can come to my inbox and share with me your own side of the story.